Premiere Pro has always had really, really good audio. In fact, it was one of the defining characteristics that set it apart from Premiere 6.5 that came before it. And with PremiereProCS6, the audio features have been dramatically expanded. It can seem a little bit complex and overwhelming for new users, partly because there's just so much flexibility now. And that's a good thing. And if you're just working with regular stereo audio, like this clip, for example, then you could just leave things with the defaults usually, and you'll be okay. But one of the things that's been added with CS6 is some additional volume adjustment controls and pan controls in the effect controls panel. I'd just like to take a moment to run through these with you so you know exactly what's going on. Coincidentally, before I show you this, if I double-click on an audio clip segment on the timeline, and this is just music, so it has no visuals, I'm going to see the waveforms for this audio in the source monitor. And I say waveforms plural because although this is a single clip, it's actually stereo, and that means it's got a channel 1 and a channel 2 inside that clip. If I open up one of these other items, let's say, here we go, well, that one's probably not got too much audio. Let's get something with some dialogue in it. Here we go, this wide 2 shot has some people speaking. If I look at this in the source monitor, obviously I'm going to see the pictures and I'm going to hear the audio. But if I click on the spanner icon here in the source monitor and look at the list of options for what I can have displayed in the source monitor, one of them is audio waveform. This lets me see the audio for the clip, and here I can use the regular navigator to zoom in, and I can click up here to drag through the waveform. So I don't need to click down at the bottom. I can play back.
Yeah, I don't know from fairy tale.
And I can also just treat the entire thing as a navigator. I'll just zoom out here so you can see I can drag through very easily. You'll notice also on the side of the source monitor, if you're viewing an audio waveform, and the waveform just shows you left to right time and top to bottom volume or amplitude, if I'm in this mode, I get these special vertical navigators, and if I just click and drag in, you'll see that I can zoom into the waveform. Now, when I do this, I'm not making the audio any louder. I'm really just zooming into the waveform to make it easier to identify sections of my audio. It's a really, really useful feature. Don't forget, of course, to switch back by clicking on this spanner icon and choosing composite video so you can see the finished item. So moving on, I've got my music on the timeline here, and I'm going to click to my Effect Controls panel, and I'm going to run down each of these standard controls. This audio is stereo, so I'm getting controls that relate to stereo audio, but you can imagine with different sound types, I'm going to get different kinds of controls. First of all, I've got the overall volume for the clip. So if I just press play, there it is. I've already applied a gain adjustment to the clip here, so it's not blaring out at 0 dB, the maximum volume. I've dropped that down a bit by right-clicking, going to audio gain and adjusting here. I've set the gain to -24 decibels. So up at the top here, I've got regular volume, and I'm just going to adjust the level. And there you go, it's a bit quieter. And if I make it louder, there you go, it's a bit louder. I've got my keyframes turned on for the clips here, so this is automatically adding keyframe adjustments. Be a little bit careful about that because it's quite easy to accidentally add keyframes, and before you know it, there's all kinds of weirdness going on. So you can always select those by lassoing them, as I have here, and then hit the delete key to remove them. Next down, I've got channel volume, and what this does is effectively the same as volume. Bypass, by the way, just means don't show the effect here. If I play this back loud, I can temporarily not show it with the affected volume. So it just overrides the adjustment. And the reason you've got this here is because it's keyframeable. So if you want to, not that I've ever needed to, but if you wanted to, you could have the effect applied and then not applied over time. So you'll find this is on all of the audio effects. And regular volume is for the overall clip. Channel volume is for the individual channels in this clip. Now, because this clip is described as stereo in the properties for it, if I look here, I can get the audio channels, and you can see here I'm using the files metadata which says it's stereo, and that means that channel 1 and channel 2 are automatically described as left and right rather than channel 1 and channel 2. You can change that if you go to mono, if you're working with mono distinct channels, but this is stereo. And so I've got a channel 1 and 2 here where I can make an individual adjustment. Here, for example, if I drop the volume, I'm just clicking and dragging right down with my audio for my channel 1. Lo and behold, on my output, this is my master. Let's turn that back down a little bit, shall we? There we go. I'm now getting only the audio from channel 2. If I just click on this and set it to 0, I can do the same for my channel 2. Let's bring that right down. And there we go. So what I'm getting here is stereo audio that is by default mapped so that channel 1 is going to go left and channel 2 is going to go right. And I'm individually adjusting the volume of those channels independently of the overall volume adjustment for the clip. I think that's pretty clear. And I'll just reset that as well. And then finally, I have a panner. So having set the overall volume and then set the individual channel volumes, I can specify where the audio is going to go to my master, to my output. And that means if I pan this all the way, I'm just clicking and dragging all the way left, everything is going to go left. And in this case, I'm getting both the left and the right channels all in my left master output. And if I drag this all the way over to the right, there we go. Now I'm getting it on the right. And in fact, if I drag across here, you can see because I've accidentally added keyframes, in fact, let me remove those adjustments. And let me remove those adjustments and just play these keyframes here. We're going to see we're all the way left, and then now we're adjusting, and now we're all the way right. I should warn you, for these particular lesson files, the audio is being recorded mono, so you're not going to hear any difference at all, but keep an eye on this audio meter and you'll see what I mean. Of course, you don't have to have keyframes on. I can turn this off and say OK, and now the adjustments I make won't add keyframes. So that's an overview of the individual audio adjustments available for clips on the timeline in Premiere Pro CS6.